Hello, my name is Kerrioth, and today we are going to take a look at a squat battlesuit. The slow trickle of squat news still continues. We're still getting the odd thing here and there. Something that we missed, I think was it, not even last week, it might have been the week before, which is quite bad, was the Ironhead Squat Prospectors gang for Necromunda. At least I think we might have briefly mentioned it, but I really can't remember. But there is something extra on top of those. Now we'll take a quick look at those, just so that we can refresh ourselves if we haven't seen it already, and then take a look at the new lad, because the new lad is chunky and ridiculous and kind of old school, a bit retro looking. I think it actually works pretty well. But before we get to him, this is the actual Necromunda gang. So this is the Squat Prospectors, the Ironhead Squat Prospectors. And I'm kind of in two minds of these guys. I like the design of the armour. I like the design of the weapons, even if they are really dumb. And I can't really work out exactly how they work. They've all got two barrels, which in theory is kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm not an armourer. I'm not like a weapons expert. I will say that right now. You know this about me if you've been around for any length of time on the channel. I don't know a huge amount about firearms, but I struggle to see, just as someone with eyes, how that works. Now, it could be that I'm missing something super obvious, something super clear, and I'm just being daft about it. And actually, it makes perfect sense. Maybe there's two like rounds stacked on top of each other in the drum there, like maybe that's what it is, and so like it shoves a bullet up or a bolt upwards into the upper barrel whilst firing directly out of the bottom one at the same time. I don't really know. Outside of that, I mean, the kind of overall design of the weapons is quite cool. I like the more sort of rounded approach. It's still quite bolter / melter-esque in some cases, but it's more rounded. It looks more sleek, it looks a bit more clean, it's less industrial somehow than like the Imperium weapons, which is, I think, a nice contrast, because these guys' armour looks really industrial, like it just looks like mining equipment, and I quite like that. But the main thing I have with these is the heads. The heads are not my thing. Now, that's not to say that they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad heads, I'm not saying they're rubbish. They're just not my thing. They're just not quite my cup of tea. I do know quite a few people who really like them. There's like quite a nostalgia feel to them, and they really enjoy that kind of extra wide look to them. But it just looks really odd because their heads aren't extra wide. Their heads are relatively normal shaped heads, but then you've got these really kind of flat, wide helmets. But for some reason, I don't know, it just looks a bit weird to me. But that's just me. That's just me. You may well absolutely love them, and that is fine and fair enough. Just not my cup of tea. I think the rest of them look pretty cool. There's a nice mix of kind of cloth and armour. It does look very utilitarian. It does look very purposeful. It's a good look. I'd suggest as well that for some reason these feel a little bit more classic, I guess, than the actual soldiers for the squats. Like the Leagues of Votann stuff we've seen so far, for some reason, these feel a bit just older in design, even though they're really not that dissimilar. And maybe it's the hats that are doing it. Maybe it's the helmets that are actually giving that impression. In which case, it might be that I'm not a massive fan of the helmets, but the overall look that they add to, I'm liking quite a lot in a weird way. Also, the belt that's got a skull with a beard on it is absolutely fantastic. Love it. Now, with this context in mind, here is the new lad. This is the Vartijan Exo-Driller. And you know what? I really like it. I genuinely do. I think that looks fantastic. It looks very Caradron Overlords, to be honest. Then again, Caradron Overlords look like what I would have expected the squats to look like if they made a return, so that does kind of make sense. And I'm still convinced that, that the design team were like, let's do squats, but let's just do them in Age of Sigmar instead. This is peak silly. It's like a mini dreadnought with a massive claw. He's got what looks like a flamer, a very serious flamer on one hand as well. The armour is like, it's rounded and it looks quite smooth in areas. It looks like relatively advanced in some places, but properly archaic in others. It's a really cool mix of, like, I don't know, like, it looks like a kind of pulpy, old-style sci-fi vehicle of some kind. It really has that kind of almost like a nostalgic feel to it for some reason. There are just aspects of it, like especially the curves of it, that feel like those kind of 60s and 70s sci-fi ideas. And I really, really like that. And there is that kind of mix of rounded armour, but then super heavy rivets in places. So it kind of looks like, if you look at like the hand, the flamer, if you look at the lights on the side, the helmet, that stuff looks relatively advanced. Well, maybe not the helmet actually, with that single visor slit, but those parts, they look advanced and they look quite modern. But then they're attached to this thing that is super, almost kind of like almost Fallout-esque in a way. I guess like retro future kind of feel to it. I actually, unironically, absolutely love this thing. I really do. I'm going to be super interested to see what you guys think, because I don't know whether you're going to... I honestly, this feels like one of those proper Marmite models. I feel like there are going to be people like me who absolutely love this thing and think it's fantastic. And then there's going to be people who take one look at it and go, I hate this. Like, this is the worst. What the hell are they playing at? It's going to be super interesting to see what you guys think, because, yeah, I love it, but I am very prepared to admit that I feel like this, even by the, like, subjective standard of miniatures, this is a super subjective design. Which leads me to the question, what do you think of this new chunky lad? What do you reckon of him? Do you like the look of him? Do you absolutely hate it? Like, are you just so in between? You're just like, it looks alright, but I'm not too bothered. I'd be really interested to see what you think. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. There's also one for Noble Knight Games if you're in the US, since you can't use Element. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.